Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being, well, incredibly well informed. Today, we're plunging into, maybe a world you don't think about every day, the cast, resin, dry type transformer market. Now, if that sounds a bit technical, don't worry, these aren't just any transformers. They're really the workhorses of modern electrical grids, known for being safer, more environmentally friendly. I mean, absolutely essential for everything from smart cities to massive data centers, even integrating renewables. Okay, let's unpack their market analysis. Our source for this adventure is some really detailed research from Cognitive Market Research. It looks at the period from 2025 right through to 2033. And our mission for this deep dive, basically to navigate through the global, regional, and country-specific market performances. We want to pinpoint those crucial revenue figures from 2021, the projections for 2025, those longer-range forecasts for 2033, and of course the key GRs, the compound annual growth rates.
Yeah. And what's really fascinating here is that even a market that seems, quite niche, like cast resin dry type transformers, it can actually reveal so much about global industrial development, infrastructural trends. It's like a window into broader economic movements and where the world's putting its energy, quite literally, as you said.
Right, a window. I like that. So, with that framing, what does this all mean on a global scale? Let's start with the big picture.
Okay, globally, the cast resin dry type transformer market, it recorded sales revenue of 2,175.11 million back in 2021.
2.17 billion roughly.
Exactly. By 2025, this figure is projected to grow quite significantly to $2,894 million.
Right, almost 3 billion.
And then looking further ahead to 2033, it's expected to reach a substantial 5,123.1 million.
Wow, over 5 billion.
Yeah. And this reflects a consistently strong global compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 7.4%.
Wow, okay, 7.4% globally. That's not just growth. That's really a robust and sustained upward trajectory. That's definitely nothing to sneeze at. What factors do you think are sort of driving such consistent demand worldwide for these specific transformers?
That's a great question. And you're right, it's not happening in a vacuum. We're seeing these major drivers like the accelerating pace of global industrialization,
Yeah.
especially in emerging economies, plus increased investment in smart grid technologies,
Yeah.
and just the growing demand for reliable, efficient power solutions. Think data centers, renewable energy infrastructure.
Makes sense.
And these dry-type transformers, well, they're safer, they're more compact, and they're seen as more environmentally friendly because they don't use oil for cooling. So they're becoming the preferred choice in a lot of these new and upgraded applications.
Right, right. Safety and environment are huge factors now. Okay, so with that global picture, let's zoom in a bit. Let's bring our focus maybe to North America first. How does their market performance compare? What are the key drivers there?
Okay, North America. In 2021, the market generated $620.342 million.
Okay.
That's expected to expand to $802.217 million by 2025. And projected to rise further to 1,374.02 million by 2033. So that reflects a pretty steady CAGR of 6.958%.
Almost 7%. Steady, as you say.
Exactly. And within the region, no surprise, the United States leads the charge. Revenue there is set to reach over $1 billion by 2033. Their CAGR is 6.872%. So this consistent growth, it's largely due to, ongoing modernization of aging infrastructure, plus significant investment in industrial expansion.
Right.
What's interesting, though, is Canada and Mexico. They're smaller markets, sure, but they're actually showing slightly higher CAGRs. Canada's at 7.345%, and Mexico's at 7.124%.
Oh, interesting. Why is that, do you think?
Well, it suggests maybe a faster rate of adoption or perhaps more new build-outs happening from their current smaller bases compared to the more mature U.S. market.
Got it. So a solid foundation in North America, but maybe faster relative growth in Canada and Mexico. Okay. How does that compare to, say, the established markets across the pond in Europe? What kind of growth are we seeing there? Any interesting differences between countries?
Yeah, Europe. The regional market stood at $478.524 million in 2021,
There.
projected to hit $619.316 million in 2025, and likely to exceed $1 billion by 2033. So that reflects a solid CAGR of 7.211% overall for Europe.
Slightly higher than North America's overall rate then.
Just slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
And Germany, as you might expect, leads with a strong 7.592% CAGR that's really driven by its robust manufacturing sector and, that big commitment to the energy transition.
Right. Energy wind and all that.
Exactly. The UK and France also show solid performance. CAGRs of 7.45% for the UK and 6.518% for France. Again, points to continuous infrastructure upgrades, industrial demand.
Mm-hmm.
But what's particularly notable, maybe a bit surprising, is the rest of Europe category. It actually holds the highest regional CGR within Europe at 8.055%.
Wow, really? Higher than Germany or the UK?
Yeah. It suggests pretty broad-based infrastructure development,
Yeah.
maybe significant greenfield projects happening beyond those traditional economic powerhouses.
Yeah.
Indicates widespread adoption.
That is interesting. So growth isn't just concentrated in the big players.
Not entirely, no. And in contrast, you see countries like, say, Italy. Their CIGR is lower, 5.91%. That likely reflects maybe a more mature domestic infrastructure market or perhaps slower adoption rates for these newer transformer techs compared to other parts of Europe. Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, they all show solid growth in the mid-6 to high 6% range. Russia is also significant at 6.779%.
It really paints a varied picture, doesn't it? Different stages of development, different investment priorities, maybe. Okay, now let's talk about the true powerhouses of growth. I think you mentioned Asia Pacific earlier,
Okay.
where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Asia Pacific is definitely the global growth engine here. It generated $802.616 million back in 2021.
Right, already larger than North America or Europe in 21.
Exactly. And it's projected to reach an impressive $1,992.89 million by 2033.
Almost $2 billion.
Yeah, reflecting an astounding CAGR of 8.038% for the region.
8% CAGR for the whole region, that's huge.
It is. And when you drill down, China absolutely dominates. Its market size is projected to hit over $815 million by 2033, driven by an 8.441% CAGR. I mean, that's a direct result of China's massive industrialization, urbanization, ambitious smart grid initiatives.
Unbelievable scale.
Truly. But, the real standout, arguably, is India.
Ah, yes.
Its growth is explosive, an 8.535% CAGR. That makes it one of the strongest, maybe the strongest, globally.
Higher than China's rate, even.
Just slightly, yeah. And this is just a number, right? It reflects their aggressive push in infrastructure development, massive urbanization, significant investments in industrial expansion, modern energy grids. They all need these robust transformer solutions.
That really puts India on the map in this sector. What about other key players there? Japan, Korea?
Yeah, Japan and South Korea also contribute substantially.
Yeah.
CGR is around 7.5% for Japan, 6.7% for South Korea, so still demonstrating consistent demand even in those highly developed economies.
Right.
And then you have Southeast Asia as a whole growing at over 7%, Australia around 6.7%, Singapore just under 7%, Taiwan also at 7%. So really strong growth across the board in APAC.
Incredible momentum in Asia Pacific, led by China and especially India. It really shows where global investment is flowing, doesn't it? Okay, let's not forget South America. What's unfolding there? How does its growth compare?
South America also shows really robust growth. Its market was $132.682 million in 2021.
Okay.
Forecast to reach $379.109 million in 2033. That reflects a healthy 7.583% CGR overall.
So faster than North America or Europe, almost catching APAC's overall rate.
Pretty much, yeah. Brazil leads the region, strong 7.699% CGR there, largely due to its expanding industrial base, ongoing infrastructure projects, especially in energy transmission and distribution.
Right.
Colombia also stands out. Their CAGR is 7.75%. That makes it one of the region's strongest performers.
Higher than Brazil's even.
Yep. Suggests significant investments, probably modernizing their power infrastructure, supporting new industrial ventures. Argentina's growing steadily too, around 6.9%. Peru at 7%. Chile just under 7.3%. And interestingly, like in Europe, the rest of South America category also shows a very strong CAGR, 7.77%.
So again, broad regional development beyond just the biggest economies.
Exactly. New projects coming online across various countries.
Okay, so strong growth across the Americas, explosive expansion in Asia Pacific. Let's turn to the Middle East now. What picture do the numbers paint there? How does it compare to these pace setters?
Right, Middle East. The region recorded $88.31 million in 2021.
Smaller base.
Smaller base, increasing to $117.496 million in 2025, and then $182.382 million by 2033. The overall CAGR there is 5.65%.
Okay, so solid growth, but definitely a lower rate than the other regions we've discussed.
Correct. It still represents solid growth, though. Saudi Arabia leads the region, driven by its Vision 2030 initiatives, diversification efforts, massive construction industrial projects. Their CAGR is 5.61%.
Makes sense.
The UAE also shows decent growth, 6.047% CAGR, benefiting from expanding urban centers, investment in smart infrastructure. Turkey's around 5.5%, Egypt nearly 5.9%, Qatar about 5.8%. The rest of the Middle East is just over 5%. So these figures highlight the region's ongoing development in critical infrastructure, even if it's at a, let's say, slightly less aggressive pace compared to some of those booming Asian or South American markets.
Understood. Solid, but not explosive. Okay, and finally, let's explore the market trends unfolding across Africa. What are the key drivers there?
Africa. The region reported $52.638 million in 2021.
Even smaller starting point.
Yes, growing to $70.035 million in 2025 and $113.733 million by 2033. The CAGR for Africa is 6.248%.
Okay, so a bit faster than the Middle East, interestingly.
A little bit, yeah. Within Africa, South Africa leads, reflecting its more established industrial base. Its TAGR is just over 6%. Nigeria, though, shows significant potential. It's 6.454% CAGR, driven by its large, rapidly growing population and, obviously, increasing energy demand.
Right. Huge potential there.
Definitely. And the rest of Africa category also boasts a healthy 6.291% CAGR, which indicates, a continent-wide push for electrification, for industrialization. So while their individual contributions might seem smaller on the global stage right now, the consistent growth in these emerging African markets is absolutely crucial for the overall global picture, and it indicates significant future potential as that infrastructure continues to develop.
Absolutely. Okay. Wow. We've really toured the globe looking at these numbers and, maybe more importantly, the stories behind the numbers. So if you had to synthesize this, what are the absolute biggest takeaways from this deep dive for you, for someone trying to stay well informed about, the global economy?
Yeah, I think the core finding is crystal clear. The global cast resin dry type transformer market is on a really strong upward path. It shows robust health, significant future potential, no doubt about that. But what really stands out are maybe the regional power shifts, or at least the growth dynamics. Asia Pacific, particularly India and China, they are undeniably the global growth engines right now, fueled by just massive infrastructure development, industrial expansion.
Right, those 8% plus KGRs are hard to ignore.
Exactly. Then you have Europe and North America providing, let's call them robust and stable foundations. Consistent growth, even if it's often a bit slower, driven by modernization, specific country initiatives like Germany's energy focus.
Okay.
And South America showing very strong growth too, nearly matching APAC's overall rate.
And the Middle East and Africa growing steadily, adding to the global total.
Precisely. And I think it's important to remember this isn't just about transformers, right? It's really a proxy for global development, where you see the highest GAGs like India's 8.535%, China's 8.441%, even that surprising 8.055% in the rest of Europe, that directly signals where the world is investing most heavily, investing in new factories, urban centers, renewable energy sources. It tells us where electrification and modernization are happening fastest.
That's a perfect synthesis. It connects the dots really well. These numbers, these stories, they definitely highlight how essential these maybe overlooked components are to building out global infrastructure and meeting the world's increasing energy needs, especially in those rapidly developing economies.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what does this sustained global demand for transformers really signal? What does it tell us about the pace of electrification, urbanization, industrial development worldwide, particularly in those high-growth economies? And maybe how might that shape the future energy landscape that, well, we all rely on?
That is a great question to ponder. Leaves us with a lot to think about regarding our interconnected world and its energy future. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the cast resin dry type transformer market. We really hope this has given you, our listener, a clearer picture of an incredibly important yet often unseen part of our world's energy backbone. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep yourself well informed.